Hey guys, welcome to Red Flags. I'm Loreezy.
I'm Blake.
Thanks for tuning in. We decided to do this last week. Right now, we are in self-isolation because of COVID-19. And as we talk about our relationships, past relationships, we decided, oh shit, we have something in common, and we date a lot of people with red flags.
Well, we've been talking about this for years. This is something that's been like ongoing conversation. And I feel like last week when we were on a Zoom call, it was like an epiphany that we both had that we've dated red flags for a long time, but then we had an epiphany that we actually are that which we attract, which is red flags, which means we are red flags.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think she realizes the stuff that she has looked past her in her own life, and and sometimes like you don't know in your own relationship, but when your friend is talking about stuff, you're like, oh my gosh, like that guy's crazy, don't talk to him. But like then you're also dating that same type of guy, and you're like, well, why are you saying something? But so we're just trying to realize. We read so many self-help books, so trying to not be a red flag. But I think that is a step to fixing ourselves, is to know that we are a part of the problem, right?
Yeah, like a pretty big part of the problem. Yeah. Like, I mean, if you can't tell, so just to give you guys a backstory on the masks too, because that's kind of like the elephant in the room, if you haven't noticed, like why in the hell are we wearing masks? Well, number one, we're in quarantine, so it's CDC recommended that we wear masks, so this is our mask of choice. Little mustache kind of like keeps some of the, we've got our nose covered. But also we so that we can be most honest about what we're going to tell you guys, and hopefully a lot of you will relate, and if not, I hope the rest of you just laugh about this because it's funny as hell. Truthfully, like laugh at our pain, but we want to remain anonymous. That's like a big thing. Like,
I feel like we'll be more vulnerable and open, not trying to hurt anyone's feelings or give too much information,
which we should be trying to, because a lot of these people have hurt our feelings, but that's part of the problem. We're not vindictive, we're not mean, which we'll talk about later, but yes.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want to hurt people. And
it's vulnerable. Like we've done some really fucked up shit too, and we still are doing fucked up shit. So we just want you to know that this is something that people can relate to. We've all go through this stuff, and a lot of people won't talk about it because they're embarrassed and they don't want to admit it, but we're doing it. So maybe a relationship that you had a red flag. Like what is a big red flag that you had?
A big red flag? Well, there are quite a few. God, I wish I had like a list of red flags. I'm trying to think of like the biggest. Lately, I've been on this like kick of like dating spiritual people, like, spiritual people who are like act as if they're spiritual, but sometimes they're not. I think I was telling you last week, like and you know about this person, but I met somebody on a dating app. The app, I'll leave that anonymous so that this person can be a little bit more anonymous too. And red flag number one, he asked to meet at a park. Okay. Mm-hmm. Most women would be like, fuck no, I'm not meeting some random guy at a park.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, that's nice. Like, he's into nature. We had a phone conversation. He seemed really nice. He's like, yeah, can we meet at a park? And I kind of was like taken back by that, but I was like, oh, he sounds nice on the phone. So we had agreed to meet at a park, and then he calls me like 30 minutes before the date, and he's like, hey, like, listen, my cat is like really sick and I need to stay with her. Like, I'm sorry, but can we reschedule? So I got stood up on the first date because the cat was sick. Okay. Second red flag is you're standing me up for your cat being sick. And third red flag is the fact that you're a single guy who has a cat.
Mm-hmm.
Red flag.
Yeah.
And did I turn around and say, no, I don't want to date this guy? No, I was like intrigued. I'm like, three red flags within like the first week. Oh, that's the one I want.
I got to get to know who this is.
Yeah, like, oh, he's so intriguing. And, you know, come to get to know him, he's like, definitely doesn't have his shit together. He's almost 40. He doesn't really make money. He smokes a shit ton of weed. And
he doesn't have a car, right?
This one did, but it was,
okay.
Yeah, this one did, but barely. Yeah. This one did, but the one before that did not. Actually, two before that did not have a car, which is like,
well, that's the thing. No one that I know besides you would go on a date with a guy who suggested to go to a park on the first date.
Yeah. Also, or who stood you up for a cat. Like, yeah, no, nobody would.
So, like, even if a cat's sick, I mean, if you could go to a park for like an hour, like that's something, like that's a lame excuse.
Yeah, I know. It's like really, really messed up. So that was like, you know, that was like a red flag. So then I like continued to date this guy, and like the last couple of guys I've dated have also been like semi-vegan. It's been spiritual vegan. We've had some sober ones mixed in there. I'll talk about that later. But he didn't really eat on our date. He had like a cucumber roll, which I was kind of like, you know, whatever. I mean, I don't have anything. I love animals. I don't have anything. I wish I could eat like that more often too, but I'm just noting this, you know. We also live in LA, so that's very common. And so we kept going on dates, and I like to smoke weed. I think you know that about me. That's like I would rather smoke weed than drink. And I noticed that when this guy and I smoked together, he almost got like a second personality. Like he would talk to himself, like talk under his breath. And I would be like, excuse me. He would be talking, or he would like say something to me, but like making fun of me in front of me. And I'm like, you know, when you're high, you don't really know if you're like kind of like not hearing things, but you're just kind of like, okay, am I like overthinking things? Not hearing things. Am I overthinking things, or is this really happening? And so the first couple times I was like, oh no, I think I'm like overthinking things. And I just brushed it off. And then I started catching him like saying stuff. And I remember the first time that we were like gonna hook up. We were in his living room. We'd sat outside and like we were like looking at the moon, smoking so much weed. It was like this like nice connecting date. We go inside. He's like, let's stretch, which is so weird too. He's like, yeah, let's stretch. So we like get out the rolling balls and we're like stretching, like, and when you're high, stretching feels really nice, by the way. Mm-hmm. It's like very relaxing. So we just talked, had deep conversation, and then we're stretching, and he gets out these like roller balls and he's like rolling on my back and like rolling on my back and stuff. And all of a sudden he's like talking to himself, kind of like, yeah, this is, I'm going to do that. This is going to go down, like laughs to himself in a creepy way. And I was like, what is going on? But what happened next? I slept with him.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah.
And it was amazing. He was like comparing me to the moon the whole time. Like he was like having sex with me. He was like, you're like the Mother Earth and moon to me. And like, honestly, Lorraine, and it was so good. And I was so high that I was hooked after that.
Yeah.
I was hooked.
Damn.
And we were just talking about that. Like that's a thing. Like for women, good D,
you're asleep.
Good D will like mess everything up.
Oh yeah. No, you can't. I mean, that's the thing is like, no matter what, and we both do this, is like, no, if we are dating someone, or we go on like a couple dates and we know that they're not potential for something greater, we will still date them. And there's all these red flags, and we're like, well, you know, we're just having fun and he's a cool guy. Yeah, but he's going to have the good D, and then you're going to be now dating him for 6 months. And,
Or
now,
longer.
or what?
Or longer.
Yeah. And it's going to be one of those things where, like, you're wasting your time. Like, yeah, it's fun, but we're not, like, 21 years old. Like, we want a relationship, and that kind of situation, you get wrapped up in it. So it's like we are, but that's the thing.
We're perpetuate. First of all, we're allowing it to perpetuate. And I know there are a lot of women out there that can relate to us, because
for sure,
especially in big cities, the dating pool is so fucked up. And especially with dating apps, like, all you have to do is swipe. You could have 2 dates a night if you wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to, like, go home with somebody, and it's like, it's taken the accountability out of, like, getting to know someone, needing to court someone. Like, all those dating rules are, like, out the window. And then you add our age onto that, and it's like, by this time, like, most of the good guys are taken.
Yeah. No.
So, like, bottom of the barrel. And hey, I'm not saying that we're, like, excluded from that list. Like, we've already identified the fact that we're red flags over here.
Yeah. I mean, it's also the case where, like, there's the dating apps, and it is, like, so much, it is not off, just like you said, not off the men or women, but it's like, it's everyone, and it's like us. I know that I've been there. I know that I have even thought, like, oh, well, I don't care, I just want to meet, like, a hot guy or something, like, just sexual. And it's like, you become that person that you hate, because you're so used to, this culture, and this is what guys do, that you embrace the culture, and then
you allow it to happen, and you become part of it too.
And then all of a sudden you're the one dating 3 people, and you're the one you rotating, juggling. You're the one that's like, well, I just want to fuck this guy, and it's like this.
Yeah, because it becomes normalized, and it becomes like a thing, and it's like, there's not really, like, even if you say that you want to settle down, it's like, but do you really?
Yeah, exactly.
But when you really think of it, do you really? And if you're still single at this age, I had an Uber driver. I got in an Uber, no joke. This was probably about 5 months ago. I was on my way to downtown. I was, like, all dressed up, and my Uber driver said that he was a writer for In Living Color. I don't know. You never know what to believe. Like, we live in LA. People say all kinds of crazy stuff. So he looks back in the mirror, and he's like, where are you going? And I'm like, I'm going on a first date. Like, I was going on a Bumble date. And he's like, you're single? And I said, yeah, I'm single. And he goes, what's wrong with you? He's like, you crazy? And I was like,
yeah.
And I was, like, really offended by it. But then, but like, part of me was like, yeah, maybe a little bit. I must be. You're right. Because he didn't end with that. He was like somebody that looks like you at your age. He goes, how old are you? And he asked me, and I told him. He goes, it looks like you, and at your age. He's like, something's going on there. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And guess what? And it has to do partially with the choices that I make, but those are my choices. Like, most people think that things happen to them. They don't realize that you co-create all this. You co-create your life by the choices you make.
Definitely. Wow.
I mean, it's not all, because otherwise, if you think life happens to you, that's having a victim mentality. That's you thinking, like, the world is against you, or this person did something wrong, or that
you just have bad luck. But, like, why is everyone else in, like, a relationship? Why is, what I mean? I do feel like, for me, I was in relationships for so long that, like, once I felt being single and not thinking about anyone else, and I became, like, I've never been a selfish person, but it was like everything, I didn't have to worry about anyone else. I started loving being single. I loved, and I think sometimes you get so used to that then that also becomes harder to, I feel like I would think I wanted a relationship, and I'm like, but do I? Like, I kind of like my freedom. I kind of like the idea of traveling by myself. I kind of like the idea. And I think hopefully now, because I am in a relationship, I hadn't wanted to be in a relationship in the last, kind of, it's been here and there, but this is the first time that I'm like, this is actually potentially a relationship forever, which I do want. And I think I realize that I want it, but I think before I was used to my crazy life.
Yeah, because that's also like addictive. The non-committal, and that I think that's part of that's a big place where I fall too. Like when you're attracting people who don't want to commit, it's because you're also not committing. Because you'll choose people, and this is in one of our self-help books that we like read together. Remember, I think this is the one we actually even read when we were like out on the Channel Islands and we were camping and we were like reading self-help books. But they talk about like if you have commitment issues, you will seek out other people who have commitment issues, so you don't have to take responsibility, so that person will automatically create the distance, so you don't have to feel like it's you. So you'll date players, or you'll date people who live across the country, or you'll date people who have built-in space,
or you'll date someone that's in an institution.
Yeah, right. In a mental, yeah, exactly.
Mental.
What? That just made me think, because especially now with this whole COVID thing going on, let me tell you my biggest red flag that I have going on right now. I have a prison boyfriend.
That's just one red flag happening at the time. One that we almost forgot to talk about.
That's a big one. I totally forgot about that. He's in prison right now. That's another person I met on Bumble, and he was actually the one that I thought was the most normal. He's the second person that I've had that's ended up in prison. The first guy ended up in prison because he tried to extort $20 million from somebody. So that while I was dating him. This guy's in prison for moving copious amounts of drugs across the world. And yeah, we still write each other. I send him books. He sends me Happy Valentine's Day from prison.
Wow.
Red flag. Ding, 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 ding. Like, I almost forgot about that one, but that one's there's a lot. Like, I'm going to have to prep a little bit more before we go into these, because.
Yeah, because we're forgetting them, but I kind of like it naturally just coming up. Because the last guy that I dated before my boyfriend, he was in prison for a while for selling drugs and stuff. And he was a poor comedian. Ding 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 ding. Yeah, and guess what? He broke up with me.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Yeah, red fucking flag.
But also, I was gonna break. This is the thing too, is I was preparing to break up with him, and he beat me to it, and that's what hurt.
Red flag. Of course that hurts. Yeah, because then you're like, you're left to like really bear that burden of like feeling like this person broke up with me. But when in reality, like, we should have been thinking that the whole time. Like, we should have realized initially off the bat that person's a red flag. Sometimes like I know I can tell you anything and you'll be like, oh, okay, da da da. But there are friends that I have that if I told them some of the people I dated, they think I'm like nuts.
Yeah.
But you are so much like me that we can tell each other and we're like, oh, that's nice. Like, okay, well, that's the problem. That's the people pleasing.
Yeah.
People pleasing, which is too nice, and you always
open-minded.
Too open-minded, people pleasing, too open-minded, too nice, and no boundaries.
Yeah.
That's those are like the main like core issues. People pleasing, I think, is a lot though.
Yeah, and also, is there a part of that of like wanting to take care of someone? Is that a part of that? I don't know. Do I have that problem?
Yeah, I think with you, like when I see you with somebody, you are so like loving and you're so like you it's like you really love them. And I think in my head when I think about like these things now, I think it's something that we're missing from ourselves that we're giving up to these people. So I think maybe it means you need to love yourself more.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. Like I'm still trying to figure things out. Obviously, like when we were talking, I was hoping like maybe one day we can have like a therapist on. You know, like
Yeah.
hopefully this can get some traction. Because the thing is, I know there are women out there who deal with this shit all the time. And I mean, I try to figure things out. I YouTube things. We read books, but guess what? It hasn't been fixed.
And this is the thing, we both do want a natural relationship, and we are looking for like true love, and you know, it's a thing that we are trying to aspire to have. And you know,
Self-sabotaging that, you know.
what?
We're self-sabotaging that because we talked about the fact that if we met like a nice normal guy, that would be boring.
Yeah.
You would glaze over somebody like that because they were too boring. I've done it before.
Yeah, no, we definitely are attracted to a certain type. I know that like for me, the guys that I've been attracted to were like the people that were the center of attention, or you know, there's a couple guys, like my two main guys that I was really hurt by were that type of people. And every guy in a way that I get hurt by, I look for the opposite in for the next
Yeah,
person.
it's like you pendulum swing. I do the same thing. I like, if you look at, and I noticed that with you too, you pendulum swing. So if you date somebody like this guy, like the guy that really broke your heart, he was like an Adonis looking man. I mean, this guy that Loreezy dated was like 6'5", dark hair, blue eyes, like super handsome, good looking guy. Like girls would see him from across the room. And then go ahead with so tell that story of what happened with you. And then she essentially, after it happened, she pendulum swung to the opposite way. But tell that's a pretty big like red flag.
So I was in a serious relationship with someone for 5 years, and I found out that this person had a double life. And there's a lot to it. I mean, he was cheating on me with women all over the place. He worked at, yeah. I mean, I think that he struggled with his sexuality.
Well, so where did he work? That's important.
He worked at a gay nightclub.
And then so you used to go in, like some of the backstories, you're like, yeah, he used to go in and like he loved like what he would wear and stuff like that, right? Like,
yeah, like he really just enjoyed those things. And I feel like during our sexual, since day one, you know, he had a hard time getting it up. And for me, there's always an excuse, like, oh, I was young and I got hit with a baseball, and now I'm like, this is a problem. Or now it's like, oh, it's my testosterone, blah, blah. But it was always something. So I always felt like, oh, okay, well, you know, that's why. And I accepted a relationship that was, you know, like I didn't have sex, like I didn't feel all this, I think, hurt me. Like I was young, and it was like my second boyfriend. And I think that like I am understanding, and I didn't tell anyone, I didn't tell my friends, and I accepted it. And in the result of it, my self-esteem got really low. And yeah, and so after that ended, I started dating.
After you found out, by the way, how did things end? Like you found out that he, like explain that, because that's a huge like.
What part?
Red flag.
What part? I'm lost.
How things ended? Like how did you guys break up? Like,
I mean,
you found out that he was cheating, but how?
Yeah, someone on Instagram contacted me, as of course nowadays. And I guess like she had been seeing him throughout the whole 5 years. She was like seeing him 5.5 years. And I found out so many other different places and different people he was cheating on me with. completely had a different identity. Apparently was addicted to cocaine. I had no idea. But also it showed to me how, you know, I'm looking for commitment. That's what I want, but I don't know how to commit to someone that can give me that. And we did have a relationship where I was kind of doing my own thing. He was doing his own thing. We saw each other once in a while, and I thought that was okay. I was like, we're just busy and we have our lives. But like, now I realize, like, you have to, there's more than that. You can't just have two separate lives and see each other once in a while. That's not a relationship.
You guys were both, you know, accepting each other's red flags, or in the spiritual community, they will call these shadows.
Oh.
They call it, you know, like parts of your personality that are negative parts of your personality. They call them shadows. You guys were like allowing that to go on. So you both were like getting what you asked for. You were both like, what he gave, you know, he gave to you was your freedom, and what you gave to him was the acceptance of these issues that he had or whatever, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, after that relationship, I think like I had always, my whole life, like I knew that this is what I wanted. It was like, oh, marriage and kids, and this is what's going to happen for me. And when I met him, it was like that was just going to happen with him. So when this all ended, I had no clue. But it's funny because now that I look back, there was like a million clues everywhere that I should have known that he was like cheating on me, or he might be struggling with sexuality. And so 2 weeks later, what do? I start dating someone completely opposite, like very dorky, older, like has his life together, the like life of the party. And I just thought like, oh, this guy is gonna like appreciate me. And so we date for, I mean, off and on for about 3 years. And it was the same, it was different. Like it was also the same, where like I thought we were in, like the first 8 months I thought we were in a relationship, and to realize that this person was probably still dating everyone and didn't really care for me in a serious manner, but also was always pursuing me. So I always kind of felt like I gave this person all my attention and everything that I had, and accepting that that's is what he was giving me, and that was okay with me. And that lasted way too long.
When did you sense the first red flag with that? Were there any like red flags that like popped into your head? I remember, I mean, obviously I know who you're talking about. Like we know all each other's stories. I know who that is.
I would assume the first red flag that I can remember is we hung out. It was probably our second date. And yes, I had hooked up with him my first date.
Oh, damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I had
red flag.
Red flag. So like he was the fourth person I had ever had sex with. Fourth. So for me, it was like the first person after 5 years of being in a relationship. It was like, it was my rebound.
Right.
That I thought was going to be my person, which is ridiculous because I had no experience, and I'm still like, you know, thinking this weird, you know, fantasy land world. And the second day we went to a birthday party, and this girl kept coming up to him, and she was like a young girl, and this guy that I dated was like probably like maybe mid 40s, and like a girl who was like 22, and was like, hey, like all like, and I'm like with him, and I remember she was like would stand in front of me, and I was like, wait, this is weird. And I also, besides that, like everyone was like, he was like this person that I didn't know anything about, I thought he was just a nerdy person, was like like the hot guy. Like he was nerdy, but he was the hot guy. He was nerdy and old, but the hot guy. And I was like, whoa, I thought I was like liking him.
It's also a very specific crowd of people.
Yeah.
And and there's a reason why he was accepted in that crowd, because he's also very successful in his career. And so this crowd of people that he hung out with, it was very, you know, they were in that industry and they knew him and he was charismatic and like, yeah.
Well, the first red flag that I feel like was after that, he was like, yeah, I think that girl was into you. And I was like, no, she wasn't. She was into you. She was like all over you. And he was like, oh, well, you don't have to worry. He's like, I don't want to share you yet. For now, I want you to myself. And that was a red flag.
So he was like laying down like threesome vibes right there.
And that was like for the rest of our whole entire relationship. It was the most sexual relationship I ever had. And he was always, trying to get me to have a threesome. And for me, this is what I have to say. And this is why I think that I felt so hard for him, was because I came from a relationship with a man who didn't look at me sexually. And I don't think like my boobs existed to him. I felt very unattractive in that relationship, not because he was.
Which is crazy, by the way, because you're like you guys obviously can't see this woman, but she's probably one of the most beautiful women ever, and she's gorgeous. She's got a banging body. So for somebody not you do not feel attractive is like ridiculous.
Well, I felt like to not feel like a woman for so long, and I think like having this person so attracted to you and treat you so sexually and so obsessed with you sexually,
that's addictive in itself.
It made me feel like it was love. Like I took sex for love, and that's why it was like the fourth person I ever had sex with, and I like it meant so much to me, and for this person it meant nothing. And that's where like I feel like I was trying to understand like what's love and how do I
because that's what women are supposed to do. That's innate inside of us. That's our genetics. That goes back to our ancestors. Like women get comfort and they're meant to attach. Like women are meant to attach, men are meant to spread their seed and be providers. Like in our DNA and our genes. And I think slowly that was changing. Now I feel like it's like probably changing, like reverting back to what it was, but that was like what we were meant to do. Women were meant to like, that's why we feel that. That's why when you have really good connection sexually with somebody, you're like, oh, I feel in love. That's our body fucks us up in that way.
I also think like there's so many red flags, but like the idea of like just giving all your trust to someone else. Like you're not asking questions, you're just going along for the ride and thinking it's this. But like that's what I realized is like I should have asked questions. I should have been more like, said what I wanted. I was too cool, and I was also like deep down in my heart and my gut, I knew that it wasn't a real relationship or this person might not want something serious with me. But I didn't ask because I didn't want to know, because I loved what we had, and it was so special to me. So it's, that's my fault. And like there was moments where we had conversations of like, I want a relationship, and this person's like, well, I don't want that, and I still continued. But yeah, I don't know. That was, the double life thing, I do think I was young. And then this one, I know that it was my bad. That was really like in my face. It was like it was like the same thing happening. One was, I didn't see it in front of me. And this one was like, boom. And I still did it. That's the thing, that's, my nose is so itchy. Like,
I know, mine too. It's because what happens is like condensation builds up in there and then it makes it itchy. So important for anonymity though. So apropos with, face masks being a thing right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I wonder if we wore this to the grocery store, because people have been like really intense, because the CDC recommends that you have to wear face masks right now. With this whole, like quarantine thing going on. I wonder what would happen if we walked into the grocery store with this.
It would not. People would be upset. It doesn't cover.
Well, okay. What if we wore this and then also, actually, wait, hold on.
We could close the bottom of this, like we could conceal the bottom of the nose, but we would have a hard time breathing, but it is like a mask. So you're right. We could get by. So I would take off this mustache. Oh, did you make that yourself?
Yeah, out of hair ties and a bandana.
Oh, cool. That would work.
Would you ever? I think I'm gonna do it tomorrow. Just to be funny.
Can you film it? I'll do it too. Oh gosh, I'm so itchy.
Hey, what do you think? Like, would people be scared if we walked? I look like Bert from Bert and Ernie, actually.
You do, yeah. You really
look like COVID, like Bert and Ernie. Oh, wait. We gotta
it looks real. With this handkerchief, it looks like a real nose.
Look.
Yeah, that's really weird.
That's creepy, huh?
I
think I'm gonna do it. Just, like everybody needs a laugh right now during. What better way to spread cheer than run around like Ralph's or like Whole Foods with like, a face mask and a nose on. I wonder if I could like record somehow, like videotape it and like walk around. I think that would be funny.
Because the actual handkerchief really does, like, it's too close to your nose. So this gives you like to put it over actually helps. Wait, did you have it over or under?
I don't know. Let's try it again.
But you're still breathing out. It doesn't work. You have to have the handkerchief over the end of the nose. It doesn't work like that. You're gonna be pissed because your nose is still coming out. Like that's the point. No, Renee, you have to cover the nostrils.
You're blowing up my spot. Okay, look. That looks real.
It looks real, but you have to cover the nostrils.
No, nothing. It's going into my bandana. What if I went out on this? Like bandana, face mask, red flag.
Red flag. Like yeah, it's a red flag for sure.
Oh my gosh, my nose is itching so bad. So speaking of like red flags, how are we doing on time?
I think we're like 45 minutes out.
Okay, so let's close up with, I mean, obviously we're gonna think of more, but like, what do you think like a couple of my red flags are? And be honest, because obviously I'm not going to get offended. Like this whole thing is about red flags and we already know, like, and I think it would be better for us to be honest so that we can like, because I think as much as I want to say that I'm self-aware, sometimes I don't think I
am. Well, I think when you already know that this is the wrong person and you already know that like even early on, if it's like this person, we've hung out once, but he's like separated, but he still lives with his wife kind of situation, you would be like, yeah, but I'm still gonna do it. But that it's like,
yeah, I'm going away with that guy this week.
But that's the thing. It's just like I think something is like I think
it's a red flag.
That is such a huge red flag. It's not something small that it's like that. And I think you just need to realize, like, as much as you do want a relationship and you want to have a family, it's like time is so important that like it's like that's just taking time away that could go to someone else that has actual potential. Like that is going to be fun and you're going to have fun during the weekend and that's going to be great, but that's not, it's just not the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't disagree with that. Okay. I definitely don't disagree with that. I mean, I know it, but I can't help it. It's like, I see somebody for who they are and I'm like, okay, well, this, and I explain things away, you know, that's part of what both of us do. Like, we explain things away. We, like, come up with excuses.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll alternate back and forth. So I'll say one about what I think like red flag behavior is, like dating somebody, and I don't think you're in this stage now, but and actually, like, I think this is a red flag for me too, because I definitely do it also. But dating somebody that's like, this is going to sound really bad, but that's so far beneath you, that's not on your same level, which again, like, I think that I do this too. Like, I know I do this, but makes me think, like, both of us, you and me, might want to look at, like, how do we really feel about ourselves? Because that is a reflection of that.
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
sure.
Direct reflection of how you feel about yourself, like who you decide to date and how they treat you and what you allow and, like, all these things.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's like, I don't think that I even realized when I'm in it in the early days that it had affected me, or even after relationships that, you know, it like could have hurt my self-esteem. And it's like, oh, now that I know that, it doesn't fix it. It's like there's more work to be done. But yeah, no, you're completely right. I mean, it's weird because I feel like the part of my life where I was the most secure and the most, like, felt great, I never felt better, I was still making those mistakes. I was still, like, having sexual encounters with people that I didn't want to have with. And I think that is still, like, comes down to, yeah, I'm not valuing myself. I'm not, I'm valuing someone else more before me because I don't want to hurt their feelings. I don't want to say no. And that is not okay. And I think since that, and I know exactly when that situation has occurred, I've told myself, like, I would never do that again. But yeah, no, in general, in other relationships, yeah, in general, it is definitely is a problem, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we talked about earlier, it's people pleasing, you know, like, if you don't want to hurt somebody, you're a people pleaser, which I am, and I know you are, like, that's the only excuse for, like, you don't want to, it's almost like like an obligation, like, I'll feel obligated sometimes instead of saying no, and I can't speak my truth and I can't tell my truth, I can't be like, no, I'm not it, because I feel bad, I don't want to hurt the other person. All the meanwhile, the other person is fucking manipulating the shit out of me, or doing, like,
or wouldn't think about you twice, like, would be like, doesn't have you in their mind in any way. Yeah,
but I don't have my own self in my mind, so it's like, well, why not? Like, you're not valuing yourself in this way, so.
Yeah, so I think in this episode, that is definitely a big part of it, is, knowing your self-worth, and you come first. You shouldn't put someone before you, like, especially seeing, a lot of times people tell you red flags before you get to really date them, and you have to listen, and that is something.
I feel like most people have gotten this memo. You and I definitely haven't. We haven't figured that out yet, but I feel like 90% of people have gotten that memo. Our target market is the 10% that haven't.
Yes.
Or the people who think we're funny, or the guys that think we're hot. Like, we're gonna fit into a couple different groups, but there are definitely gonna be women who connect with us on this level, because they're, dating's tough right now.
Yeah. No, and we've also come to the conclusion that it's, yeah, if you're having a lot of bad relationships, you sometimes just have to look into yourself because it's coming from somewhere. It's not just because we know we have people are
Like,
happy.
you attract that which you are. I mean, that's a fact. Like, otherwise you would not allow it. So you attract, to some extent, that which you are or that which you allow.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're attracting these things, you're allowing it. And I think people don't realize, people come from such a stance of like victim, like that guy fucked me over, this person did that, or that person did that. No, like in life in general, you co-create your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You make choices. Your choices lead you down this path, or they can lead you down this path, or like, you know, you make choices that affect your life. So part of it has to be like we have to take responsibility for like all this shit.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I just want you to know that like this video has our names on there. And do you see the names?
No, mine doesn't have that.
Oh, I wonder if that's going to be in the video because it might. We should have probably changed our names on the Zoom.
Oh shoot.
Yeah. But we could probably change it on like an app.
Like an editing something.
Or like something there. Yeah.
Put something there. Yeah. We can probably put like pop-ups and stickers. I don't know. Yeah. You guys, we really want you to know who we are, but we really actually don't because we want to hide.
We just want to give you our true self without like double thinking it, overthinking it, and be like completely authentic and not feel like judged by people that we know or people that were, you know, in our life.
People we know. We're not going to tell people, our friends, that we did this. We're going to like, we're not doing that. By the way, Loreezy, our friends already know we're red flags. We're like the red flags of the group. Everybody's married or like in a relationship. They're like, what?
You just said my name.
You said mine in the beginning. We're going to have to bleep it.
Yeah. Well, at least this one, we didn't say it that many times.
Way better. Like a million times better. I think it'll get easier. But at least you have a boyfriend now.
Yeah.
I'm still waving my flag over here.
Flag, trying to catch one, huh? I believe it.
I'm going away. I told you I'm going away with a married man this weekend.
Where?
But I want to let all of our 0 right now viewers know that it's not like they've been separated. So it's not like it's like I'm having some kind of relation. They've been separated for 1.5 years. So nobody judged
together.
No. She's quarantining like up with her boyfriend up in Malibu somewhere. Like they're not together. They do have a child together, but
who's the kid with? Where she's with him?
Yeah, the child's with him. So the child's going away with us too this weekend.
Where are you guys going?
Palm Springs.
Oh. Have you seen him since this whole self-isolation period?
Yeah. He's living on a sailboat right now. Oh.
Hey guys, we're gonna close with that red flag.
Well, you know, I know.
We'll tune in and see how that goes. You know?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. I'll have some good gossip for you next time, and also more red flag stories because as I'm thinking, like, we both of us didn't even get into like really good red flags. I have
some of the good ones.
Really freaking good ones. Like really good ones. Like the prison one's a good one.
Great.
But I have better ones than that. Like
the idea, the park, don't date a guy, first dates at a park, it's just not the right place. Don't do it. I mean, it's not safe. Also, you want to be in a public, come on, at least let them buy you a fucking coffee. Like, I don't know. A walk around a park, it's not going to happen.
We know this. We don't need to tell them. They probably know this. We might be the only 2 people that don't know that.
Yeah. You guys are like, wait, is this like a joke show? Like, no, it's not a joke show. This is our lives. And
what it is.
We figured out. And what?
I said it isn't, but it is. It's like, at least we can laugh at it. But
Well, that's the whole Charlie Chaplin. It's like a person that's joking on the outside, but is hurting in the inside.
oh man, this just got real deep and sad. Yeah.
But we're going to close off with that because I think this was really fun. I hope you guys learned something from it because I think when we talk about it, you know, it's like kind of learning to, and, you know.
Hopefully one day we can have a therapist on the show and we can get free therapy.
I know someone.
Hey, like, does somebody want to come on when we have 0 viewers?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, no one has anything going on right now.
That's true. Right now is the best time to do it.
This is the time to embrace a lot of free therapy. If this is probably the only time we could get free therapy.
Okay, we better like
red flags.
Red flag.
Can we get a Groupon therapy session?
Group.
Can I be drunk? Can I drink during therapy?
Well, you know, you could just like that's the nice thing about Zoom is you could just like put your head to the side and they won't even know. You could just like sit.
True.
And come back and they're like, "What are you doing?" You're like, "Oh, I'm just fixing my mustache."
You're like, just nothing. I'm not sick.
As red wine's dripping, yeah, exactly. As red wine's like dripping off the mustache, because it is. Look, it's totally.
Yeah,
like,
I might have to take that out, my mustache next time or something.
You can.
I might just have to do like big lips.
You can't, because then you're gonna see your lips.
I'll do like big fake lips.
Hey, if you want to wear a different mask every time, I mean, you can. I'm pretty into this. Like,
I mean, I love the glasses and the eyebrows.
Well, guys, all 0 of you as of now, but we're gonna get you pretty quick. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.